Okay, let's talk about something that so many of us go through but maybe don't really understand. It's this mystery, right? Why does anxiety seem to get a VIP pass to our brains, like the second our head hits the pillow? You know the feeling, right? It's just so common. The lights are out, everything's quiet, and bam, suddenly your mind is throwing a massive party for every single one of your fears. It's wild. How can our brain, which is our best friend all day long, suddenly feel like it's turning on us when the sun goes down? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Right, so our investigation kicks off with what I'm calling the 3 a.m. question. You know that moment, you look at the clock, and it's that time, and you are just wide awake, when you really, really shouldn't be. You are just physically wiped out. Your body is screaming for sleep. But your mind? Oh no, your mind is running a full-blown marathon. It's replaying that one weird thing you said at work. It's dreaming up every possible disaster for tomorrow. I mean, the worries you could easily dismiss at 3 in the afternoon suddenly feel like these huge, unbeatable monsters at 3 in the morning. And hey, if that sounds familiar, you are so, so not alone. Okay, so to really figure out why this is happening, we've got to understand the enemy here. We need to get a really clear picture of what worry actually is. So let's break it down. So, according to the NHS, worry isn't just, a feeling. It's a very specific type of thinking. It's that voice in your head that loves to start sentences with two little words. What if? What if I totally bomb that presentation? What if my car breaks down on the highway? It's our brain's attempt to plan for bad stuff, but it gets totally stuck. It starts overblowing the danger and at the same time completely forgetting that we can actually handle things. And here's the real kicker. This what-if game isn't a one-and-done thing. Nope. It's a loop. It's a vicious cycle that just keeps feeding itself, and it is so hard to break out of, especially when you're already tired and feeling kind of vulnerable. So check this out. It all starts with that anxious what-if thought, step one. Then that thought triggers all these negative feelings. You start feeling nervous, maybe scared, just on edge. That's step two. Then those feelings cause real physical reactions. Maybe your heart starts pounding, you get a headache, and this is the big one, your sleep gets all messed up. So what do? We try to cope with these unhelpful behaviors, which, you guessed it, just feed right back into the original anxious thoughts. And the whole crazy loop starts all over again. All right, so we get the cycle now. We see how it works. But that still doesn't answer the main question, does it? Why does this whole thing get so much worse, so much more intense after dark? Let's get to the real science of it. Well, it turns out there are three really critical things happening at night. First up, the obvious one, all the distractions from your day are gone. No work, no emails, no conversations. Your mind basically has this huge empty playground to run wild in. Second, your actual brain chemistry changes. As your body gets ready for sleep, serotonin, that's the stuff that helps keep your mood stable, it naturally takes a dip. And third, cortisol, the stress hormone which is supposed to be at its lowest point, can actually do the opposite and spike. This puts your body on high alert right when it's supposed to be chilling out. There's this quote from a really important research paper that just nails it. It asks, is it a bad thing to be awake when reason sleeps? And that kind of gets to the whole point, right? Being awake late at night isn't just about being tired. It means you're operating in a totally different state of mind. And this leads us to what scientists are calling the mind after midnight hypothesis. The basic idea is that when you're awake when you should be asleep during your biological night, your brain is playing by a whole different set of rules. Your ability to manage emotions, think about rewards, and just make good calls, it's all impaired. Think of it this way. You're not just a tired version of your daytime self, you are literally running on different software. And look, this is not just some neat theory. The data is, well, it's pretty shocking. Researchers looked at the numbers, and even after they accounted for how many people are actually awake at that hour, they found the risk of suicide is more than 3 times higher between midnight and 6 a.m. And I want to be really clear about this. That's not because more people are up and about. It's because the people who are awake are in a state of way, way higher risk. So what is actually happening inside your brain? Let's look under the hood. First, your prefrontal cortex. That's kind of like the CEO of your brain, the part in charge of logic and stopping you from doing dumb stuff. It's basically offline. At the exact same time, your amygdala, the brain's little alarm system for emotions, is going haywire. And the result of that combo? Your focus just zooms in on all the negative stuff, and your ability to make risky, impulsive decisions just skyrockets. It is truly a perfect neurological storm for anxiety.
Okay, so that's the science, and it's super fascinating, but I get it, it's also a little bit scary. But here's the good news. Now that we understand why it's happening, we have some really powerful tools to fight back. So the question becomes, how do we take our nights back from anxiety?
One of the most practical, science-backed things you can do is start a worry journal. Seriously, instead of letting all those worries just spin around and around in your head, you get them out. You write down the specific thing you're worried about, then you rate how likely it is to actually happen, from 0 to 100%. A lot of the time, just doing that shows you how unlikely it really is. And then you switch gears from worrying to problem solving. Brainstorm some solutions, make a little action plan for tomorrow. What this does is it sends a message to your brain that says, hey, we've got a plan for this. You can chill out now.
And it's not just journaling. There are other great tools for your toolkit. Slow, deep breathing. That directly calms your nervous system and fights back against those physical feelings of anxiety. You could try progressive muscle relaxation to get rid of physical tension. Here's a cool one. Schedule a 15-minute worry time earlier in the day. You basically give your worries an appointment so they don't crash your party at night. And, of course, having a consistent, calming wind-down routine is huge for telling your brain it's time to shut off for the day. Let's talk about something super simple, but also super powerful. Light. Think about it. All that blue light from our phones, our TVs, our tablets, it's basically screaming, hey, it's the middle of the day at our brains. It actually stops our body from making melatonin, the sleep hormone. But on the flip side, warmer light, like red or amber light from a lamp, has almost no effect on our internal clock. It actually helps your body get ready for sleep. We're talking about a simple light bulb swap here, and it could make a massive difference. And, your evening habits really matter. That coffee you had at 2 p.m., yeah, the caffeine can stick around for hours and be fueling those midnight worries. And alcohol, it might feel like it helps you fall asleep, but it really messes up the quality of your sleep later on. Even super intense exercise late at night can be too much. So maybe try swapping those things out for something calming, like a cup of herbal tea, some gentle stretching, or just reading a good old-fashioned book. Okay, so we've covered the science, and we've talked about some real strategies you can use. But to wrap this all up, let's just zoom out for a second and look at the really big picture here. When you get right down to it, it helps to remember our brains are basically running on ancient software. They evolved for a really simple world, bright days for being active and dark nights for being quiet and resting. Our modern world, it's not that. It's 24/7, always on, filled with artificial light. And that creates this huge mismatch with our own biology. So in a lot of ways, this nighttime anxiety we feel, it's a symptom of that clash. And that really just leaves us with one final big question to think about. In this crazy, nonstop, always-on world that we've all built for ourselves, a world that's constantly pushing us to ignore our natural rhythms, have we maybe just forgotten how to listen to our own bodies? To that deep, ancient wisdom of our own biology?